It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jenn Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to Countywide. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Jenn Cohen. Today we are talking to the retiring Verde Valley Fire District Chief, Nazih Hazime. Thank you, sir, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And I've got to tell you, when I got the news on July 19th that you were retiring, it was a very sad day for me. So, because I very much have enjoyed working with you. Now, I've only worked with you for about a year. And I very much enjoy working with you. So I'm very sad to be retiring on September 19th, which is just days away.
6 to be exact.
How do you feel?
A little bit of anxiety. You
Yeah.
know, it's different, obviously, for anyone that's retiring, and certainly for me, leaving a career that I've really enjoyed for 34 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's difficult. It's going to be a change, but I'm excited for the new change and a new chapter in my wife's and my life. Obviously, we're going to, do a lot of things that we're not able to do while I was working and she's working. So, yeah, we're going to just do what we want to do. It becomes your time.
Nice.
Right? Not somebody else's time. So
What is that? Your time? I don't know this.
Yeah, well, it's when you want to open up a book and read it, you can.
You can?
And you don't have to stop at a chapter. You can just keep going.
Oh my gosh.
So those
How
kind of things are going to be,
That is very
go work
exciting.
out when I want to work out, and I have to be
Nice.
on a schedule, and so it's going to be good.
It's going to be very alien for sure.
Yes.
34 years seems like a very long time in fire service. Is that a normal amount of time?
It's probably an average. You know, people retire from the fire service usually 20, 25 years, and some stick it out to 30. And that's usually about it. However, if they move on to other departments, as I did, then sky's the limit. Some people like to just keep working because they enjoy the work. You know, it's a profession where you either love it or you don't belong there. There's no in between, because you're saving people's lives. And you're making an impact in people's lives on the worst day of their life.
Right.
So it's not something you take lightly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, the story of what inspired you to get into the fire service is absolutely adorable and heartwarming. You were barely a teenager?
Yes. Yeah, it was. I was fortunate, actually, to experience something in my life early on that allowed me to say or think about my career and say, wow, this is something exciting, something I would think I would like. And so I pursued it, and I met with the chief in Dearborn, Michigan, and the rest is history.
Right.
He gave me direction, I followed it, and again, that's what I offer to any young person that wants to become a firefighter, is come in and visit with me. And that's how the whole open door started. With some of the articles, my door is always open. So I encourage them to come in and meet with me. Not the real reason behind that is so I get to know them. So I understand who this person is, more than just a credential of documents that said they're certified to be a firefighter, but what do I know about them as a person? And are they willing to walk into someone's living room, take control of a scene quickly, and give medical treatment to somebody? You have to earn that quick respect from a family member before you can start treating their loved ones. It just isn't given to you. And so that person needs to be able, the firefighter needs to be able to speak correctly, ask the right questions, and be an extrovert, be able to communicate and socialize with people. So those are the things I look for in new firefighters. And it's tough these days because a lot of new hires are very into technology and computers, as we know. And so they get away from the actual verbal communications through life early on. And as they get older, that's really all they know. So we have to adjust. There's a balance. They have to adjust and we have to adjust. We can't change them as people, but we have to figure out how we can work with them better to bring value to the organization.
Yeah, so you have to be able to conduct yourself well and garner respect from those around you. What else does it take to be in the fire service?
Well, you have to be of good character. I mean, we do a thorough background check on people. We integrity plays a big role in it. Doing the right thing, you know, as we try to instill in our firefighters. If it's not right for the organization, then it's not going to work. However, that being said, we certainly entertain any ideas from even the youngest firefighter. Coming right out of college and with all the degrees that they have, it's we want to hear what they have to say, because they do bring new ideas to the table. So we just don't shut anybody down. We want everybody to be encouraged to talk to us and tell us what's on their mind. However, if it doesn't work out in the best interest of the organization, then obviously we look for something else.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And you, having had so many years in the service, I mean, you were a firefighter yourself for 24 years. So you were in it. You really understand the job extremely well, more so than most people, I would think. So knowing what you're looking forward to in the next generation, though, as things have changed since you were a firefighter. I mean, the firefighters are very different people now than they were back then.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that comes along with the changes in life. I mean, with technology, the equipment, the skill levels, everything has changed. So we need to stay up with that, right? We can't just ignore it. As time changes, we have to change with the times. And so that's difficult for some of the firefighters who've got many years on the job, because they have to change as things change, and because our work becomes different. And so you can't just ignore that, you know. You have to stay on the cutting edge, if you will, and make sure that we're prepared to provide the service that we're paid to do.
Yes, so many things are different. I mean, if suddenly you had to go, or any firefighter had to go from today fighting to 30 years ago to fight a fire with what they had available, wow, they'd be, whoa, wait a minute, where's all the technology? Where's all this, that, and the other thing? But as building has progressed and become more flammable, and all of our items in our houses have become more flammable, firefighting seems to have become a lot more dangerous.
It has, but there's also more protection for the firefighters as well to go along with that. You know, building construction has changed drastically. They don't make buildings out of the old timber, which is like a true 2x4, for instance. You know, now it's cut in half. They still call it a 2x4, but the dimensions are not the same. So we call that toothpick construction. And the integrity to hold up a building is there still. However, under fire conditions, it's compromised very quickly, a lot quicker than it was 30 years ago. And so it's important for the firefighters to understand that and train with that in mind. So it changes our tactics and strategies on fires or any incident of what we're going to do and how much risk are we going to take. And obviously, we don't want to take any risks if we don't have to, only if there's a life to be saved. So knowing that the fire conditions are what they are when we pull up to a scene, and knowing the construction of that building, if it's newer, if it's older, is going to tell us how we're going to manage that fire or get in there quickly to make a rescue if we need to. So,
yes, and how that has changed in 34 years.
Sure, even the construction of vehicles, the development of vehicles. You know, they're made with different steels now and different types of material that makes it harder for us to cut. So we had to purchase newer jaws of life and cutters and spreaders that can handle those steels to get people out of car accidents that are trapped.
Right.
So that's just another example.
Yeah, so much has changed. The equipment has to keep up with it, and you've got to keep up with it, and the firefighters have to keep up with it. So much has happened. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back and continue talking with the retiring Verde Valley Fire District Chief, Nazih Hazime. So don't go away, because there's more countywide after this.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
How I define making? In the broadest possible terms, it is making something extant in the world that didn't exist. Everybody who's ever made anything is bringing something into fruition for a reason, and that act in and of itself makes us stewards of our culture. It's something that we're talking about. It's a response. Actually, it's telling a story. That's really what it is. And I include everything that could be made: painting, sculpture, welding, all of that.
Yellow is positive.
When a kid gets their hands on the world and learns that they can make their fantasy play, that they can make their reality, that's power. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone should feel that kind of power. There we go. If there's something that interests you to bring into the world, that's fantastic. Go figure out how to do it. Go tell your own story. There it is. And so I want to know why you make. Let's go.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
And welcome back to Countywide. I'm Jenn Cohen. We're talking with Chief Nazih Hazime. He's retiring. I know, it's awful. After 34 years of service, he'll be retiring on September 19th. We are so honored to have you in before that, still in uniform.
It's not so bad to retire.
No, that's what I've heard.
It's all about timing and what's right for you, right?
Well, that is true. That is true. Now, the great thing that I know about you is you're very passionate about what you do. You know, we talk about do what you love. You know, my mother always said, find something you're willing to do for free and get paid to do that, and you'll be a very happy person. And I can see in you that this is not just a job. It was not just a job. You are incredibly passionate about what you do in the fire service.
Well, you know, the fire service is a different profession, as we know. You're you know, impacting people's lives, and that, I think, is the driving force of the service that we provide, and how do we build on that continuously to make it better, not only for the people that we are servicing and helping and saving lives too, but also for the firefighter safety too. So with all that in mind, my passion is to get the job done as safely as possible with a positive outcome, and to mitigate whatever emergency is in front of us. And so obviously we do that with training, with skill levels. Firefighters, our most important asset in the fire service is our people. And that's not just firefighters. It starts with administrative employees as well, who make sure that everything that we need is purchased, is delivered, is taken care of, from HR to you name it. I mean, we all have responsibilities to do. And then you have the firefighters, who actually get out there on the road and make things happen and take care of business to mitigate emergencies. You know, the unique thing about Arizona compared to Michigan is the additional work that the firefighters do out here. Not only they fight fires and they respond to all the emergencies that they do, but during their downtime, as I call it, while they're working their 48 hours, they do so much more for the organization. Fire districts are unique, and so we have everything internal. I can't rely on a different outside HR department or a finance department, or you know, municipal fire departments have all that within the city, and they take care of the fire department, the police department, departments of public works. So with a district, we don't have that luxury. We have to manage all that internally. So staff takes on those extra responsibilities. My administrative manager handles all the finances and is our HR person. I've got firefighters that manage all of our fleet and maintenance. So they do all the specifications on our apparatus. I've got firefighters that handle our facilities. When I got a leaking roof, when I got a new door that needs to be replaced, they manage all that for us. It's a huge savings to the taxpayers. We don't have to contract those things out. Some things we do, obviously, but whatever we can handle internally, we do through the firefighters and through the administrative staff. Very unique, but it's interesting. It's interesting, but it's exciting that we do that. We provide that level of service here.
Right.
I'm not so sure that the public really understands everything that they do.
Well, certainly.
I put it out there in articles, but that's rewarding to me. It makes, you know, I have a passion for that. It's like, wow, they just really step up to the plate and take care of everything that we need to operate. When the alarms go off, those apparatus start up. The tires are on the vehicles, they pull out, they take care of business, and they have the skill levels to do it because we make sure that they're trained appropriately.
Wow. It sounds amazingly self-sufficient as a fire district.
Correct.
That's incredible. Now, how does that keep you involved in the community? If you're incredibly self-sufficient, you know, do you tend to keep to yourself, or is there a lot of networking that goes on in the community? How does that work for you?
No, I love to network with the community. I think it's very important. You know, every firefighter that wears a uniform represents the district. So how you handle yourself, what you do, your interactions with the community, or interactions with Yavapai Broadcasting is very critical, you know, to getting the message out, to keeping our communities safe. We want to be proactive. We don't want people to call us for emergencies. We'd rather they prevent those accidents from happening, and whether it's a fire or motor vehicle accidents, not wearing helmets. So we rely on the community to support us. So it's a partnership. So what Yavapai Broadcasting does on announcements for us during emergencies, when road closures need to happen, or there's an excessive amount of smoke any given day, you're our link to the public to share all that information and inform them. And when people are informed, then they understand what's going on, and they don't get so excited and start, you know, calling everybody. So we want to inform them as soon as we can, and we do that through you, right? Through Yavapai Broadcasting. It's important. You got a great staff here, and we rely on you guys continuously to get the message out. And I'm always giving sound bites out, as you know.
Which I very much appreciate in the news.
Yeah, so what's, you know, those messages that we give out are not only what just transpired and how it was mitigated, and who helped along with that, what agencies all work together, but also the safety messages that come along with it is critical. Let's prevent that from happening again. We know that if we don't do things correctly, the consequences are going to be bad. Something bad is going to happen. So if it's predictable, it's preventable.
Right. I've only been working with you because I've been the news editor here for a little over a year. I've seen a change since when I started in this, in that safety message, in the thought that, okay, let's just not, you know, handle the situation when it comes up. Let's see if we can prevent it. Let's get public education out there. And I have to say, you've really been on the forefront of that, in my experience, from what I've seen of, hey, here's the safety message. Everything from you has a safety message, which I very much appreciate, because if we can learn from somebody else's mistakes, I mean, we've been doing that for eons.
Sure.
And the fact that you've made a very conscious decision to make sure that that happens with every incident, I really appreciate from the news standpoint.
Well, and you know, Jen, we do that internally in the fire service. When a firefighter gets hurt or has a fender bender with one of our apparatuses, we immediately address that. An accident report is generated, and then we look at it, and it's a lesson learned. And that firefighter then puts it out in an email to the whole department of what just transpired, and this is how it happened, and this is how it could be prevented from happening again. What I've learned through the Everyone Goes Home program, which is Firefighters Life Safety, is that if we ignore those little accidents, those little fender benders, those little slips and falls, whatever it may be, or not doing something correctly on the fire grounds, if we ignore those, then they happen again. And it could be another injury, it could be a more serious injury, or it could be a fatality. And that's my fear. So that always, in the forefront of my mind, is keeping our people safe so they can go out and service the community. So that same concept carries out into the community from me. I mean, that's how I look at things. Let's prevent these things from happening. What could happen if we know that there's going to be excessive amount of water through the monsoons coming through our community? What areas are going to be flooded? So then we put everybody on alert of who's going to be evacuated first, what equipment's going to be needed to do rescues, and so got to be on the forefront.
Excellent. Yeah, I see how that works incredibly well. Be prepared, be aware. We're talking with the retiring Verde Valley Fire District Chief Nazih Hazime. We've got just a couple minutes left in countywide, so don't go away, because we're going to come back right after a short break.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Being prepared is a part of who you are. But it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
And welcome back to Countywide. Just a few seconds left. I'm Jenn Cohen, and we're talking with Verde Valley Fire District retiring Chief Nazih Hazime. What an amazing career you've had. Thank you for that. That's just something else. What a hole you're going to leave behind. Who's going to fill your shoes?
Well, my assistant chief, our assistant chief, Joe Moore, will be the interim chief. So he'll be stepping up. I leave on the 19th. He'll be in the seat on the 20th.
Right.
And he was the former fire chief for Clarkdale. So we came together when we consolidated, and we've been working for a year and a half, 2 years together directly, and it's been great. He certainly was my recommendation to my board. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity with the vacancy of a fire chief, and with him stepping up, and he was the assistant chief, so whenever those vacancies occur, you always look back at your organization and, you know, can we maintain it without, or do we need still need to fill those positions, or can we find other ways to spend those tax dollars? So it's about being able to span of control, if you will, with people within the organization, and do you have enough to manage it? And if not, then you need to fill those positions, or add more positions, or remove some positions. That is continuously being reviewed by chiefs and assistant chiefs at every agency. One of the things that I've certainly appreciated was all the work and working with all the different fire chiefs within the Verde Valley. Chief Keller, Chief Kazian, Chief Kirkendall, Chief Blair, Chief Kim Moore, but I didn't leave anybody out. But it's been wonderful. We have such a great system in place, and the mutual aid that we do with each other, the auto aid we do with each other. We just had a fire chiefs meeting yesterday, our monthly meeting, and you know, again, we're brainstorming more ideas of what we can do together and how we can be more efficient. You know, and that's the goal, is to be more efficient as a fire agency, fire service within the Verde Valley, and also be thinking about cost savings as well. So those are the two key things that you always try to address and accomplish.
Certainly, always learning, always working towards it, always getting better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Firefighters' life safety is a priority. You know, everything that we do is geared around safety, and it has to be.
Yeah. If they're going into some of the most dangerous situations.
I give reports to my board every month during the board meetings, and I start off with a moment of silence to all the firefighters that have lost their lives in the line of duty throughout the country. And the average is usually 10, and there's about 100 annually for all different reasons. One big one is health and wellness. So we have a big health and wellness program throughout the Verde Valley. All the agencies participate in it to keep our firefighters monitored and make sure they stay healthy.
You look out for your guys.
And if there are issues, we address them to make sure that they get back where they need to be.
Well, super. That's amazing. I want to thank you for your service, and on behalf of Yavapai Broadcasting and the community.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
For all that you've done.
It's been a pleasure.
And happy retirement.
Going to miss working with you, Jen.
I know. Don't make me cry.
I won't be far.
That's all the time we have for Countywide. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll see you again next time.